Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Wrestling Never Sleeps. I am your host of the evening as we are featuring and highlighting NXT 2.0, the real Adam Anthony James Martin, the straight shoot in a suit alongside Travis, my main man. How you doing today?
Oh, we're doing well. We're here ready to talk some NXT.
Very good. And Tyrell is joining me as well. How are you doing, sir? How's your evening?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to come up with a gimmick name for this show. So I'm working on it. I'm really hooked on this whole straight shoot on. I like this whole straight suit in this whole straight shoot in the suit. I like the gimmick. So
it's the real deal. I will not BS you. If something's on my mind, I will shoot it out straight at you, and it's going to hit you hard. Whether you disagree, whether you agree with me, that's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about pro wrestling, something that we all love and enjoy. And specifically, I was really interested in tonight's programming. The main feature, the main event of the night was NXT 2.0. A lot of names that I've never heard of, but there was a passing of the torch. We might have got a guest appearance from Vince Russo. Ooh. And of course, I know there might be a new star on the horizon. First of all, the show kicked off with a bang. We had the brand new NXT World Heavyweight Champion of the world on scene, Braun Breaker, Rex Steiner, whatever you want to call him. He is the man. He is a superstar in the making, and he is now our current champion of NXT. Travis, I'm going to kick it off with you. What do you think of Braun Breaker as a whole? Do you think they've rushed him? Do you think the passing of the torch was right from Ciampa to Breaker at this time?
I think, you said rush, and that's a very interesting and probably appropriate, in my opinion, way to put it. He's got a look, and he's got some solid skills as far as the talking and all that kind of thing. But I think history shows that when you push somebody too soon, when they get all this momentum, they kind of crumble. And I hope that's not the case, because it's not always the case. But I think it's a little bit of who his daddy is, who his family is. And I think that's why he's where he's at. And
100% couldn't agree more. I mean, the guy is talented nonetheless. Actually don't hurt. He sounds like a Steiner. He wrestles like a Steiner. He acts like his dad and his uncle. Tyrell Rousey, my man, what do you think of Braun Breaker? As of right now, as the current NXT champion, what do you think of what you saw tonight, especially?
It was short and sweet. You can tell he's definitely still learning how to be comfortable behind the mic. They gave him certain lines to say. He said what he said, and he made it really quick. He got to the point, said what he had to say. He even mentioned the fact that he was a Steiner on TV, which I was actually surprised. So, I felt like at one point it was almost going to be hard to get behind him because they had him fighting Ciampa, and it seemed like the fans were behind Ciampa. But I like how somehow they managed to transition that into him being actually the face of the brand and still being the baby face of the brand without being a heel. So yes. It kind of worked. They kind of did that right. So I'm on board with Braun Breaker. I wasn't a big fan at first because we already knew from the moment his first night there where he won like 2 matches in a row, you knew what they were positioning him for. And then even when he got that first title shot, we all thought he was going to win that night. And then he lost. They let him go through his little groin.
No, for sure.
He got the big win at War Games. And then, once he won at War Games, you knew he was taking the title from there. It was only a matter of time. But right. I think he'll be a good champion. I don't see anybody right now that I think, maybe with the exception of Carmelo Hayes, that probably could actually beat him for the belt in NXT. So I think he'll have a lengthy reign as champ.
No, definitely. I think that's more than fair to say. Again, I was going to ask you, my next question was, who's the first guy do you think they're really going to give him a test to? The first real main challenger that he might have. I think I mentioned it on a live, recording that we did the first time that we really met. And I mentioned the name Walter from Imperium. Mm-hmm. What would you guys think of Walter and Braun Breaker, colliding and making that a really big feud further down the line? Not necessarily the first opponent for Breaker, on defending his newly won championship, but someone that you could look forward to maybe around WrestleMania weekend.
Yes.
Right. I think that would definitely be a good first feud, a good way to really start to make Braun Breaker look a little human and like, okay, maybe he can be beaten. If it's not Walter, that's definitely going to help build him. And I think that you're going to have one hell of a hard-hitting match, if nothing else. Mm-hmm. And if we can find a story behind that suits both guys, I think it would be, I'd watch it. We'll say that.
Definitely. No, I'd pay for that too. If it was called the pay-per-view anymore, I would definitely pay for it. But
Premium live events.
Premium live events.
Premium live events.
We don't have to worry about that anymore.
PLEs now. That's what they're called. PLEs.
Yes, exactly.
Sounds like a bad disease.
But I gotta get tested for a PLE.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that'll be a great opponent for him. It has to be WrestleMania weekend. It can't be anything sooner than that. That match is too big for it to be anything but. As far as who I think would be the first challenger for him now, I would have actually said Grayson Waller because it seemed like they were pushing him. But after his loss to, that new up and coming talent, AJ Styles tonight,
oh yeah,
I don't see
that guy's got a future, bud.
Oh man, I think that guy can go places. But I don't know.
Tells me he might be phenomenal.
He could look. He could be. Who knows? Yeah, it could be. But I don't know. I at this point, I just don't see who would be the first opponent. I don't think they should. I think it's too soon if they want to do him versus Carmelo. Carmelo right now is in that. How can I say? He's in that Shawn Michaels stage of when Shawn Michaels was the Intercontinental Champion and he was grooming him to become bigger. But it's only a matter of time because he keeps calling his title the A belt. It's only a matter of time before the heavyweight champion has to feel some type of way behind that. So that might be 100%. After Walter. So who knows? It depends on what they do with Carmelo.
Definitely. I'm moving along though. We hit the big guy first off. That could have been in my mind, I thought that maybe could have been a night killer, like the highlight of the night. The next match didn't really do anything for me. That being Santos Escobar and Zion Quinn. Now, I'm familiar with Santos Escobar. I don't know too much about Zion Quinn.
He's another Samoan.
What's that? Sorry?
He's another Samoan.
A Samoan guy. Okay.
Yes. So they have big plans for the Samoans nowadays. So
they do. Unfortunately for me, though, this match really didn't have that connection with me personally. Travis, what did you think of this match, and what did it do for both superstars or up and coming guys?
This was in the middle of my having some issues with streaming myself, but just looking at it on the surface, the winner leaves with Elektra. That feels like a cheap way to try to get some kind of bite into it, to try to get some kind of stake. This is what we're working towards in this match, and it's cheesy.
I didn't really get why she was up for grabs to begin with. Again, right. I wasn't watching along. If I watched maybe a month previous, I'd have more insight to what was actually going on with this. But if they were trying to make this match a big deal, you think they would have saved it for more of a pay-per-view or a premium live event type of setting. But they didn't. They just threw it on an NXT Tuesday night. Tyrell, you saw the finish. Lopez obviously tricks Quinn into thinking that, she's fallen for him, kicks him below the belt from behind. Next thing you know, Santos has got the win. What did you think of the match? What do you think of the performances? And more importantly, what do you think of these two up-and-coming guys that they're now pushing in NXT 2.0?
I honestly feel like Santos Escobar should be on the main roster. I think he was part of that NXT 1.0. I don't see how he fits into this 2.0. But, we was just asking who might be Braun Breaker's next challenger or first challenger. It might be Santos Escobar. Could be the reason why he got the big win tonight.
So they did have that little run-in. Before the match, she came out a little prematurely, I think. It was designed that way, but they had an interaction on the entrance ramp. I know, Travis, you might not have seen that, but they did have a little face-to-face, and Santos was kind of showing off his body a little bit, saying, hey, look at me. I might be a threat to you. Keep your head on a swivel because I'm coming for you type of little one-on-one altercation there. Is that what you got from it as well?
Yeah, I've seen it. Like the little glance is almost like, you have that title for now, but I'm coming for it.
That's always. I mean, that's always a good way to plant the seed for something in the future. And I think whoever gets Breaker first or second, maybe even third, obviously they're not walking out with the championship. I think
it's looking like it's going to be Santos. I think he'll be the first challenger.
He did look strong, even with the help from Lopez. I don't think he necessarily needed that help. I don't think it did anything for the match other than
it made the group look stronger.
Lopez stands and who she's with.
It made the group look stronger too.
Yeah.
So that way, if he does challenge it, now there'll be a stronger force, and he have to deal with all of them.
Yeah, exactly. And who looked really strong moving along throughout the program? This promo for Mandy Rose. Last time I remember her, she didn't look as confident. She didn't sound as confident. She didn't have this this almost. I wrote down in my notes, this is how I would book someone like Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah,
if I had Blanchard on my roster, they're utilizing her like I would use someone like Blanchard, and that's a praise.
No, I agree.
A lot of people, hate on Blanchard, but I like this Mandy Rose. This is a nice, arrogant, cocky, somewhat bitchy looking and sounding attitude type of woman that's not taking no for an answer and just doing what she needs to do to stay on top. I like it. What do you guys think about Mandy Rose and her promos throughout the whole night?
I like you. I really enjoyed it. I think that it's amazing what time and some dedication can do, and it's obvious that through time she's been putting in some work behind her character, and it shows.
I feel like NXT dumbed down the whole women's division for her. You look at it, you have Io Shirai, you have Raquel Gonzalez, you have Cora Jade, women who can actually wrestle. Now, I'm not saying Mandy can't wrestle, but you can clearly tell the difference in the way they wrestle now as opposed to when they wrestle when Io Shirai was champion. It's like it's become almost like a mix of the women's division and the divas division again.
Right.
But the character fits her perfect for what it is. She totally changed her character, changed her hairstyle. She became a leader of a group. The group has all the goals, so they're running the show. It works out for her, but I just feel like the women's division is not where it was. I feel like they took 2 steps back.
Okay. No, that's definitely fair enough.
I can definitely see what you're saying. I hope that the character, the gimmick can translate into having a lot better matches than what she's.
She can become what Trish Stratus was. Trish Stratus at first was Mandy Rose, and it became a great women's champion and a great women's wrestler.
Definitely.
No, definitely. And she had that dance partner in Lita for the most part. Those two really carried that version of the women's division. And now it's just up to Mandy Rose to find that dance partner that she connects with to have those quality of matches and those promos at the same time to take it to a whole new level again.
I agree.
100%. Again, we have Cameron Grimes moving along against a guy named Kemp, Damon Kemp. I've never heard of this guy. Have you guys heard of him?
Nope.
It was a typical squash match.
It served its purpose. It was to make Cameron Grimes look strong and to solidify that he wants a title now.
Yeah, they started him off right in 2022. That's his whole thing. He's going to the moon.
But he's going to the moon with a title.
I like Grimes from when he was the butler for LA Knight. And they had their goofy segments. I'm not really into a lot of goofy stuff, but he played it off so well. And now they've kind of completely turned him into a 180, serious type of guy while keeping that charisma that he carried over from his previous, I don't want to say gimmick, but his previous attitude towards the business.
So off topic real quick. You see, and I jumped the gun a little bit. You see LA Knight came back at the end as a face. Do you see him and Cameron Grimes being a team, like just teaming up now? Because, in the world of wrestling, you guys could hate each other when it's facing bad guy, but now it's babyface. All of a sudden, these guys could be tag team partners and friends. So
they have a mutual respect now, too.
Yeah, all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, right? Yeah. See, so I can see something like that happening.
NXT to me doesn't have a strong tag team division anymore like it used to either. So maybe they need something like that to happen. It looks like LA Knight, though, again, off topic from what we were doing, but looks like LA Knight is coming back for Waller for revenge.
So it looks like he's going to be busy when he comes back.
Yeah, but see, my thing with WWE, once again, not to jump topic, we're good to talk about it again, but matter of fact, I'll just wait to the end because I have a gripe about this whole Grayson Waller thing, but we'll talk about it when we get to it.
Yeah, because he was featured on in the main event. Again,
that's where I'm going with that.
Styles.
That's exactly where I'm going with it, and it's just bad booking. So we'll get to it when we get to it.
That rookie that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. When it comes to the Cameron Grimes match, I think it was, as we said, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It's pushing him to the moon, or at least trying to get him on his way there. And we had that segment a little bit later on in the episode that had him with the NXT North American champion.
What do you think is his stealing?
Yeah, that was very cool too, and a little surprise. Wasn't expecting that or him to be the guy to maybe challenge for that North American championship next. But yet again, NXT 2.0 is different than what we're used to from this program
Mhm.
and this brand. And something that we never mentioned, speaking of direction, was that Bruce Pritchard is now writing for the show itself. So maybe we should expect a lot more changes, not only with talents, new faces, new gimmicks, but just different direction and storyline that we're used to with Triple H's NXT version.
Oh, I
That's
think
one
it's gonna
example.
This is going to start to look like Raw and SmackDown, sadly.
it's gonna be a 180 from NXT 1.0, which is what they want, and exactly, and it already looks like a Raw or SmackDown to
Yep.
me.
Matches
Yeah.
have become shorter. It's more talking, more interview segments, a little bit more goofiness. So it's definitely looking like a hybrid of Raw and SmackDown.
One thing I did notice, we mentioned earlier as well, though, the intro a little bit too soon when Escobar came out on Braun, interrupted his little promo thing there before he left the ring. I think that to me is really cool. It makes the show seem like it's moving at a faster pace than it actually is. With Raw, I wish they would actually do little things like that instead of us falling asleep for 3 hours. Little tricks like that, I think, help the show move along. And Travis, having been booked on shows and stuff like that, do you find little things? Did you notice that as well? That
I did notice that because when you said that there was that moment where they were looking at each other in the beginning, well, that happened again in the main event because they're just trying to push it along, right? Instead of waiting for that transition to happen either after a commercial or, as you said, with Raw and SmackDown, sometimes it's like, okay, what's coming? Well, we're just going to move right into it. And it always gives that little bit of time for that face-to-face that it might not pay off next week, but if they have some words or a little scuttle, where are we at in a month? Well, you pissed me off. But now we're here.
That's what I was gonna say. That's my gripe too. Because what if there's all of these cross communicating with each other that has no payoff to it? What if they're doing it just to further the show along and move it quicker?
And that's very possible.
If you have an AJ Styles come out in the middle, because think about it, AJ Styles came out at the end of Carmelo Hayes' interview. That's a dream match if you think about it. What happens if there's no payoff behind that? It was just he's just coming out because he was in the main event. Who wouldn't want to see AJ versus Carmelo Hayes? That's money.
I still got to see Carmelo Hayes in action. I know what he can do on the mic now.
Guy's good.
Definitely. And we did get to see him a little bit later on in the show as well. But up next, we had, I believe, a qualifying match, a tag team match for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic tournament. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite parts of the year for NXT.
Definitely.
We had Joey Gacy and we had Harland, my boy, Parker Boudreaux. Harland, teaming up against two guys again that I'm very unfamiliar with. We had Idros Anofi, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, his tag team partner, Malik Blade. Now, I'm going to let you guys take this one away because I'm going to rant about Parker Boudreaux and Harland all day long if you guys don't. Let me know what you think of the opposition of Gacy and Harland first, being in Blade. And of course, his partner would be Anofi. But I don't know anything about these guys. I didn't really get to see that much in this match because, again, due to the finish, it was a DQ finish, a 5 count in the corner, a vicious attack by Harland. Again, they're keeping his trend and his gimmick intact, which is something a little different that we're not used to seeing potentially, other than a guy like Walter, but he does it right. But I'm a big believer that Harland one day will be championship material within NXT 2.0. It's just not right now because of how he's being booked and who he's booked with. But what did you guys think of this tag team match? What do you think it did for the Dusty Tag Team Classic, more importantly?
Go ahead, Travis, you can go.
All right, I'll go ahead. The tag team match itself, most of it was, again, streaming issues. Luckily, after this, I think I was pretty good. But as far as just kind of on the surface, looking at what had happened, reading up on it, again, they are taking Harland and they're using this as a way to keep him on the up, make him look strong. He's this guy that's not going to listen to the ref. That usually gets some people on his side one way or the other. So a way to get the other tag team into the tournament and a way to keep him strong.
No, for sure. And with Harland being booked this strong, I guess you could call it, and the other team advancing into the tournament, what do they do with a guy like that now, Terrell? How do they keep his momentum alive, and how do they keep him keep on his momentum being pushed up to the top of the division if that's the direction they want to go in with this monster of a talent.
Well, the first half of the match was the two guys keeping Harlan out of the ring. So, yes. And then once he did get in the ring, it was just total destruction. But yes. It's like I feel like you already got the Dusty Classic off on the wrong foot. So a team makes it into the tournament because they won by disqualification because they got beat up by the other guy and they couldn't defend themselves. So now I'm already not taking this tag team serious. So I feel like they're a first round exit. But then knowing WWE and the way they operate, this team will make it all the way to the finals.
that I don't doubt for a second. And I did feel the same way. I can't take it as serious, or I can't take them as serious now because, like you said, I wrote down in my notes, as soon as Harlan gets in, game changer. Yep. And that was my 2 words that I like to use when it comes to that man alone. He's a game changer. He's a pace changer. He's a difference maker. He's no Braun Breaker, but he is, the next upcoming guy as well.
I feel like he's still green, and that's probably why they put him with Joe Gacy, which is smart because it's almost like almost like an Omos and AJ situation where they have the bigger guy who really is still learning from, I guess, the veteran, because Gacy's a veteran in the business. So it makes sense to have him. And and it's like we all had, all the fans, once we seen pictures of this guy and he looked like Brock Lesnar wannabe, we all thought this guy was going to come in and just automatically just be the next Brock Lesnar. And they've kind of did the opposite approach with him. So maybe they're taking their time with him. Maybe they just know he's not ready yet. So maybe they're just like, we're just going to just ease our way with him. Maybe he may be the one to eventually take the title off of Braun Breaker. Who knows? But only time will tell.
No one's made the nails reference yet. I'm not going to bring it up because, again, like I said, I'm a huge fan.
I thought about it, but I didn't think about it.
Thankfully.
Actually, you're right.
Who is absent this evening?
He looks like Brock Lesnar with hair, but looks like nails without it. It's hilarious.
Exactly. He's just missing the wrong color of jumpsuit, eh?
Oh, man. They got him halfway there with the outfit he wears now. He looks like a Wyatt family member.
Yes, he does. Definitely, by far. And, speaking of another big man, we mentioned this man before, and that man is Walter. They did a little promo on Imperium. I like the sophisticated look that this group is going with. This faction is coming off as a strong style, faction. Again, something unique, something different that we don't get really see that much anymore. What do you guys think of Imperium and, the direction that they should be heading in soon?
I think it's obvious they're going to come in having that main event status just because of who it is. And they're showcasing that with the little package that they had. They're here to mess things up, and they're here to get what they want. And honestly, as a fan, I'm hoping that's what they come and do, because Walter is a one of a kind. His look is different than anybody else. He hits hard as shit, and
best chops in the business.
Yes. So, I mean,
his style
he can come right in and
savage.
Right. He can come right in and fit in the NXT here in America, just like he fit in NXT in UK.
Exactly. And I think if they do decide to call him up to the main roster, even, after NXT feels like it's been saved in their minds from guys like Walter, that, he could potentially move up to a main primetime show, get the exposure that he's well-deserved. Because again, like you said, Travis, he is a once-in-a-lifetime type of talent. He's unique. He's different. I love his style. He's vicious without having to put people through tables, hit them with weapons. He just uses his hands.
He uses his hands and a little bit of psychology.
Right. Exactly.
And I think I've noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed, you can tell me if you have or not, but I've seen a recent picture of him. And it looks like he's really kind of getting into shape too. So, maybe he knows a little bit more than what we do, or he's just trying to get that push, because everybody knows the better shape you're in, the more Vince is going to like you.
Exactly.
Well, he was a big guy anyway, so you would think Vince would have liked him regardless. Took him this long. You put him in the main roster, they'll probably have him in a singlet with a shirt on or something. So maybe he knew it was better to maybe he looked at Keith Lee and was like, okay, I got to get into shape.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the next Bearcat.
Yeah,
exactly. Bear called Walter.
It was a bear called Walter. Yeah, right. Exactly. Vince McMahon will probably change his name. Vince McMahon will probably change his name.
Yeah, no,
it'd be like Alan or something.
Here comes Lance.
Yeah, right.
Lanes.
But as far as Imperium goes, I like how they kind of almost like they rebranded them or rebuilt them back up, because remember they were strong at one point, and then when the pandemic happened and everything shut down, it was almost like they were on their own. They would like pick up wins here and there, but then they were mainly jobbers. And then they lost their member when Alexander Wolf got released. And then it was like they were floundering for a little bit. And then they kind of just came out of nowhere and won the tag team titles. Kind of makes sense now when you see that Walter's back with them, why they won the titles. Because at the time when they fought MSK, I didn't think they were going to win the belts. So, but like I said, it kind of makes sense. Now it's almost like you have to give Walter a title so that all three of them have championships. So
they might be building up their factions for the next War Games. We might see Imperium in the War Games.
It's possible.
Maybe it's the replacement for the Undisputed Era.
There'll never be
they need to replace.
Era.
They need to replace Undisputed Era with the Top Tier faction, and if they put Walter in a War Games match, I'd hate to be the opponents. Like, no, you don't.
Still would rather get thrown into the cage or off the cage or through the cage.
I want to see
one of those chops.
I want to see Walter put a wrestler against a table, and when he goes to chop him, the guy ducks and he chops right through the table.
Don't say that too loud, because Pritchard might hear it.
Yeah, don't say it too loud. It'll never happen. If Bruce Pritchard hears that, it'll never happen. Yeah, because it actually sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. Again, the show was really interesting. Another interesting part of the segment of NXT 2.0, was a surprise visit potentially by a former booker. I believe one of my favorite podcasters in the world of wrestling, one of my favorite
managers. What you be talking about, bro?
Calls him Shitstain.
What are you talking about it, bro? What are you talking about, bro?
I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Bro, you know what I'm talking about?
No, bro.
Did Vince Russo make an appearance tonight? Because we had a crowbar and a pole match. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Okay, so look, I've listened to a lot of podcasts in the past, right? Especially specifically guys like Bruce Pritchard's podcast. And in my mind, I'm sitting here like, so you trash this man for everything that he does, and then you steal his idea literally and put it on TV.
He's playing us. I think he owed Vince Russo a favor.
Maybe. I don't know.
What should we put on a poll tonight, bro?
And they did absolutely for nothing for Pete Dunne.
No.
I do want to say, though, that you could definitely tell, at least to me, I'm pretty sure that Pete Dunne called the match and got his way with it because of all the just focusing on body parts. I love Pete Dunne and the way he works because it's very European style. But yes, every match there's gonna be psychology and there's gonna be a certain body part that's worked on. And I even went over to D'Angelo when at the end he had been working on the neck, throws him into the corner. That's the way he hit, comes back, hits him with the crowbar, which is fucking stupid. But yeah. 1, 2, 3.
And then don't forget the crowbar broke too.
Did it break? I didn't catch that.
Break?
Yeah.
I might have already forgot that on purpose.
When he hit him across the side of the neck before he pinned him, the crowbar broke.
So Pete Dunne's dead.
Apparently. You probably won't see him again until the Royal Rumble appearance.
Perfect. I will believe that. He's now in concussion. He's in the hospital. He's got, the Joker wrapped around his face, and he's going to be someone different when he gets unmasked.
I did notice that he got knocked out from getting hit in the chest here. So
my only question is, my only conundrum with this whole thing is this, right? So WWE has made this whole 2.0 because it's kind of head scratching when you think about it, because I don't even think they thought this far ahead. So you make 2.0, and pretty much most of the guys from 2.0 are all heels, right? So what happens when you get rid of all of these old 1.0 faces, and now you have to start building these 2.0 heels versus these 2.0 heels?
Normally guys get over as heels first before they turn face. So I think they're preparing this.
It's definitely, as somebody that has been blessed to be able to go do it, it's way easier to be a bad guy and say these things and get people to boo you than it is to go out there and be that guy to get everybody behind you. Because
to get sympathy.
One, they have to give a shit who you are, right? 2, you get to go out there and do these things that just feel awkward. Going out there, raising your hand, trying to get people behind you, especially those first couple of times when they don't do anything and they're just sitting on their hands. Mm-hmm. You feel like the world's biggest ass. But if you get to be that heel first and make them hate you, then for some reason it's easy for them to just, oh, we know this guy, we like him now. good move. So,
and again, we're still in that phase of the anti-hero too, right? Everyone likes the badass. Everyone likes the guy that, you know, people now like the rule breakers. It's a little bit more defined who the faces and heels are in WWE and NXT than it is AEW, in my opinion. But who was the face and who was the heel in this match? Because I do have this written down. It bothered me that I couldn't distinguish it.
This is what I mean.
I think Pete Dunne was the face, but
this is what Tony I'm talking about.
Heel, but he was acting face, you know, like a face.
This is the problem I have. When Tony D'Angelo came, he was almost like the next big thing amongst the internet community. He was like praised as a hero almost. I don't see it, but now you can see, like, after War Games, he was established as a heel. It was almost like all of the NXT 1.0 guys that were still there, which is all sympathetic baby faces still clamoring for a spot on the roster. And now it seems like one by one, they're all going away. So it's like, this is what I say, when you'll be stuck with nothing but NXT 2.0 heels, then now you have to kind of reset the babyface heel spectrum all over again.
I mean, I think if you look at the way the match ended with the crowbar to the face, supposedly, even though it was to the chest.
Shoulder blade. It was a shoulder blade.
Yeah, there you go. That seems to be a little bit more of a heelish thing. I mean,
I think Tony D'Angelo's a heel. Pete Dunne was definitely the face.
Yeah,
definitely. No, for sure. Even when he had him in that STF with the crowbar, that's more of a face thing to do.
He lost all his friends. Yeah, Pete Dunne lost all his friends. Pat McAfee left to go be the announcer on SmackDown. Rich Holland went to SmackDown, and Orton and Logan got fired. So he was pretty much left by himself anyway.
Yeah. No, he's one of a kind, though. Pete Dunne can make anyone look good in the ring. So I'm interested to see what they do with Tony D'Angelo after the Pete Dunne feud, because again,
I think
they're going to have to move him. They're going to have to move into another inexperienced guy, someone that's not as
this is what I'm saying. Where do you go next?
See if he can carry that match.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's got to get some rub off somewhere, right? And you just don't get matched up with Pete Dunne just because you don't want to on a thought or a whim, right? You know, they got to see something in this guy named Tony D'Angelo, another Italiano. You know,
from Buffalo too.
What's that?
From Buffalo. He's from Buffalo.
From New York.
New York.
But I'm interested to see where it goes. He's kind of got this Razor Ramon kind of vibe, but he also reminds me of like a Savio Vega outside the ring. You know, he's got that Caribbean vibe to him where he's cool, he's chill, but once he gets in the ring, he could be a vicious savage. You know, or he can be just that rude, arrogant heel that everybody likes to boo. So
he's a character that I don't see would translate well on the main roster, though.
No, I don't know why, but I just don't.
Like, he would come up there and be an innocent jobber to me.
Yeah, unless he had like the Eddie rub where he could pull it off and be like that cheer face. You know, maybe, but no one's got that talent other than Eddie.
Yeah.
Now, we talked a lot about the men on the roster. Is it just me, or were they just trying to fill a spot with women on this card, and they gave us a six women's tag match just to get the women on the show? Wendy Chu, we had Wendy Chu, Parada in there. We have one of my favorite female athletes still on NXT, thankfully, and that is Indy Hartwell. She is a gem. She looks good. She talks good. She got the rub from Gargano and that whole group. You know, she's doing that. She's doing a thing with Dexter Lumis, obviously the leader of this match. You know, and then she was off against a good 3 pairing. But question before I go into the actual match itself: what the hell was with the pajamas, the pillow?
That's NXT's Orange Cassidy.
I was gonna say
she's NXT. She's NXT's version of how every fan feels on Monday night.
That's exactly what I felt like doing on Monday night. But I was curious why she was doing this while she was involved in a tag match. Like I look over and there she is with a pillow.
Almost like the Travis said, she almost is kind of like their Orange Cassidy, because she's so lackadaisical, but then when she got in the ring, it was almost like like she flipped a switch.
Yeah, it's explosive.
And the wrestler in me, the fan in me, everything in me hates when you you duck a clothesline by a yawn. That's how you get out of the clothesline.
Yeah, right.
That's the whole thing. And honestly, when I first seen Orange Cassidy, not to get on an AEW kick, but when I first seen him, I hated it. Now it kind of grows on you when the fans love it, and you get a reaction every time. Yeah, I mean, he's grown on me. I don't know that she will, because it's just
she's not going to wear on
it's
me.
different enough that I hope it doesn't stay around.
Yeah,
exactly.
It stands out, but maybe not in a good way, especially for new NXT 2.0. I don't think that's the direction they want to go into. I don't think that's something they want to hang on to, like you said.
It's immediate go away heat for me.
This match for me didn't do anything. It had no build up. It had no meaning.
Right.
WWE doesn't do a lot of 6-person tag matches. It was something different to see on NXT. I mean, they just did one last week on one of their main shows, but again, to see it on NXT, again, it was different. There was no purpose though. There wasn't like a tag versus tag and a singles versus singles feud involved in this.
No, it's just like they threw all 6 women together.
It's like they just had to throw it in there and get them on the card just to use it.
Right. It's literally like they said, okay, you guys are all on the show next week, and then forgot that they told them they were on the show next week, and was like, oh shit, now what?
You
guys are all booked, so faces here, heels here. Hey, 3-3.
Time out. Who was the faces and who were the heels?
Program or you're all
it doesn't matter.
Because I couldn't tell who were the faces and who were the heels in that match.
Indy's the face, so I'm gonna go.
But then you got to look at Casey. You got to look at Casey Canizaro. She's not a heel either.
Here's the thing: through the whole match, with the only thing I could focus on was how much I hated Chu's gimmick. So if that tells you anything, that how much the match mattered in the long run.
Do you know what her gimmick was before?
No.
Okay, so remember Boa, and remember the one that just got called up to the main roster. I can't remember her name.
Xia Li.
Remember, and they used to have like that quote unquote higher power that used to sit in the chair.
Okay.
That was her gimmick. That was her.
Okay.
That was.
Oh, why didn't they keep that?
A fall from grace.
There was some controversial thing that had happened that I read that they ended up having to get rid of the gimmick.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well,
but then it was all done.
You go from that gimmick to being handed this.
Yeah, exactly.
The emperor of all emperors.
That's when you got to break out the. That's when you got to break out the. It doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me, brother. Play that card.
You can't say that when you're in NXT 2.0.
You got to play the reverse card when that comes up.
Yeah, the deal. It doesn't work for me. You end up on A.
Right. I mean, I think there's some things where like this, that's gonna be hard to recover from ever.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's impossible. Impossible. And we brought up Boa. Boa had a match right after this, essentially against one of the members of the family. Not officially yet.
I knew this match was doomed. I knew this match was doomed when neither one of them got an entrance.
Yeah. They were just in the ring.
They came right back from commercial and they was already in the ring together. I was like,
they were in the ring already.
In my mind, I was like, nobody cares who wins.
Right. It's again speeding the show along, and
it did make
that wave was weird. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they did it this time in the wrong way, because you have a key guy in there, being Sikoa, who obviously they're going to get to the main roster as quickly as possible once he's ready and once he's established himself on NXT 2.0. They put him in a match where he didn't really look that great. B, he didn't win, and C, it's against a guy that I'm sure a lot of people really don't care about. No offense, Boa, but you're over once that whole Xia Li thing was done. Exactly. You didn't really get over then. You were just kind of there watching. With your sunglasses on, you look cool. Jackie Onassis, bada bing, bada boom. But now that you're an in-ring performer and you're facing someone like Solo Sikoa, you have to lose to that guy if you want to get him over.
Stupid. The name is stupid. Just call him like John Uso or something. Like, I hate that.
It's the same reason Braun Breaker is not Braun Steiner.
But how stupid is it when you're in the ring wrestling and the fans are chanting Uso though? They know who you are. Even the commentators make reference to it. They're like, yo, he comes from a family with a Samoan bloodline. Duh. What do you expect?
Well, now, to me, this match was basic wrestling 101. We're gonna try to start a feud. But going back to what you said, Adam, how do you start a feud with this kind of heat when nobody really cares about anybody yet? There's got to be somebody there that's going to elevate the other.
And this is my gripe.
Unless saying this is an Uso is supposed to make us care about him, I don't have anything to buy into.
But once again, this goes back into my gripe of what happens when all the NXT 1.0 guys are gone, and this is what you're left with. Now you're stuck with the situation of like, who do we cheer for? Why do we care about these two individuals?
And maybe we're still in a building time. This is transition still. It's kind of a new thing. But I agree with you already.
Guys like Solo Sikoa, guys like Braun Breaker, even guys like Harlan are always going to have one step ahead of everybody else because us as internet fans know who these guys are already. Now, mind you, Harlan's hasn't wrestled before, but we all knew that they were hyping this guy. Yeah, but see, we all, so you follow this guy, but we all know that they've been hyping this guy up as almost the next Brock Lesnar for like a year and a half now.
Yep.
We were getting endorsements from Paul Heyman. He was running around with what was the female on the main roster that didn't last long?
Or not Maurice.
Not Maurice.
Redhead.
Yes.
She got fired again.
Yes.
Yes. Her getting fired, but
Red everything, whatever her name. Yeah, see, goes to show you how we don't care about her, right? But you get the point that I'm trying to make. So they were already building him up like as somebody big. So it's almost like those guys already got a foot in the door. But then when you have guys like Andre Chase or a guy like even a Joe Gacy for more, it's like we still learning who these guys are. Like, who are these guys? Like,
right.
And then you put them in a match against somebody like Bowen. It's like, okay, so who are we supposed to really care about in this match? We don't care about neither one of them.
Exactly. Going back to the whole name thing, though, Braun Breaker, Harlan, not Parker Boudreaux, which is more of a badass name. I have to believe something in the back of my mind tells me that, this is done this way for a reason. So, if they do decide to leave WWE, he can now use the name Parker Boudreaux later on in his life, and it's not owned by WWE. Same with Steiner. Does he really want WWE or NXT owning the name Rex Steiner?
I mean, no.
I mean, it's his name, but does he want it trademarked by the WWE as well? So we can't go to another company per se after his contract is up and say he's unsatisfied with what he's doing in WWE.
But let's just say, for example, okay, let's just say he came onto the main route. Oh, he came on the NXT as Rex Steiner. Rex. REX Steiner, right?
Yeah.
He can also it's his name, yeah. In WWE, let's just say he gets released and he goes to AEW or somewhere like that. He can use Braun. He can use Braun Rex Steiner. He can still use the Steiner name. He would just have to go by this government part of it all. But everybody's still gonna know he's a Steiner,
right?
So it doesn't make a difference.
As far as the trademark thing goes, if you look back through history, that's something that they've kind of always done. Look at Charlotte Flair. Right, it was Charlotte when she first came in. Mr. Perfect's son never did go by Perfect.
Never did go by Perfect at all.
No.
Or Henning by that.
Or even look at
nor Henning.
But even look at gimmicks. Roman, for a long time, they never talked about his Samoan heritage. There would be like little teases, like if the only thing that they ever really kind of made you feel like he was Samoan, there would be like little teases when he was with the Shield and they would fight the Usos, but he would never put his hands on the Usos and they would never put their hands on him. But they never really mentioned much of his Samoan heritage until it was time when he was fighting Brock the first time.
I think once they feel like you've hit a certain level of over or a certain level of fandom, then maybe they look into changing that. But
like you said, Charlotte was a perfect example of that.
A way of maybe, one, they want to own this likeness, and two, maybe protecting that name, that if you come in and you shit the bed, then we've saved that name. Maybe there's some good graces behind it. Maybe not.
Yeah, there's got to be something.
It's WWE. There's no good graces behind it.
That's fair.
Now with the event tonight, again, we were in for a real treat, a special guest in our main event, that being the rookie that we were talking about at the beginning of the show, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
He did pretty good for his first match, right? He did pretty good.
I think so. Pretty good for a rookie.
Kid looks like a natural.
He had a good match against Grayson Waller. I never really knew too much about Waller itself. But AJ, anytime he gets in the ring with anybody, he's going to make them look good, which in case was the fact tonight as well. Now, to me, visually, physically, Grayson Waller looks like he might be selling lollipops at a grade school, but that's just me. He looks a little creepy-ish. The ice cream truck man.
He does.
But at the same time, the guy can wrestle, the guy can sell. He put on a good performance, and he kind of kept up with AJ Styles tonight on NXT 2.0, even though he did take a fall in the middle of the ring. What do you guys think of the main event before we wrap this episode up?
with AJ Styles being there, I was super excited. I've always been a big AJ Styles fan. I wasn't expecting him to kind of step back and do his old school moveset type thing. Like, you know, if we saw AJ Styles start with an NXT, you'd really want to see him do his younger, kind of quicker gimmick. But it was definitely a match that would have been on a Raw or a SmackDown because he was leading it, and rightfully so. I mean, he's, as we said, 20 years he's been doing this. So, you know, he comes in and really gives this guy a nice rub with a solid match, sold for him, did everything he would have on a, like we said, Raw or SmackDown. I think it did what it needed to do, and I think it was a pretty solid main event. It reminds you of almost like WCW style when you have that main event it's always a little bit slower, not necessarily the best it could have been, right? But it did what it needed to do.
Definitely did its job. Definitely helped Waller establish himself just a little bit more within NXT. You know, one type of where his spot is on the card. His first ever main event, and you get to square off a guy with you know, a guy like AJ Styles. Not that there's anyone else like him, because he is the phenomenal one. Tyrell, what did you think of the match? What did you think of Waller, and what did you think of AJ Styles gracing us with his presence?
Now I'm ready for my grapes. First and foremost, the right man won.
Yes,
because there's a point in time when I thought he might not win it, and it would have been total and complete bullshit. But the right man won. My first gripe now. Where was all of this NXT inclusion when Triple H was in charge? These guys are now cross-promoting on SmackDown, on Raw. Grayson Waller today talking about he may go to SmackDown and smack Roman, which we know he's not going to do. But the fact that they're acknowledging that these other shows exist in the same universe now. Where was all of this when Triple H was in charge?
It was better when it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Now, my second gripe is Grayson Waller did this whole beat Johnny Gargano out of NXT, did this whole cross promotion back and forth to Raw, interfering in AJ's matches, getting a bigger exposure on TV. Nobody knew who this guy was. And then he loses tonight. So now where do you go? Because you had the potential for this dude to be the biggest heel on your roster because of the fact that he was up and down Raw and on NXT and feuding with an actual main roster talent. And now he lost. So now how are we supposed to take this guy serious?
I think you got to be careful when you got to look at the caliber AJ Styles is, like you said. And yes, he's a heel, and this is a blemish on his record, but losing to AJ Styles, is that really something that can take away all the credibility from him?
No, it doesn't. But at
the
same time, no, it wasn't. It was a pretty decent match. But then my thing is, what does it do for your career now with the whole Johnny Gargano situation? You took him out; he's not coming back. So it was like almost done for what exactly?
LA Knight.
Knight. But then what happens now if LA Knight? If he beats LA Knight, then what does it do for LA Knight? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a domino effect. It makes no sense.
I think there's a lot of potential there, depending on what direction they do go in with him. I was excited to see him.
If it was me, if I was booking, I would have had Grayson Waller lose by disqualification. I would have had him beat AJ by AJ beat him by disqualification due to him using a foreign object or something, attack him, whatever the case may be, and then have LA Knight make the save. That way it goes off. You start a new feud. AJ didn't get pinned. Waller didn't get pinned. AJ can go back to Raw, leave that behind him, and now you got a whole new feud in NXT. Why can't you do disqualifications in NXT? You do it on Raw and SmackDown all the time.
For AJ's first match on NXT, though, or like, you know, his main event spot, I personally wouldn't want to see a DQ there. I think that, you know, Waller personally put up enough fight to make him or establish himself just a little bit more than where he was previously going into the match, and that's always the goal, to help your opponent improve or get more over than he was going into the match.
Yeah, but look
Travis, as a pro wrestler, I'm sure that's how it should work. Not saying that he took leaps and bounds in that progression, but small progress is still progress, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think there's probably making him feel a part of a main event attraction.
Do you see him as a number one heel on the roster?
Not yet. Walter would be.
Right.
Yes.
This is definitely, as you were saying, Adam, when you bring somebody down like AJ Styles and you put a Grayson Waller in there, everybody there tonight wanted to be Grayson Waller because they got to work with AJ Styles. That automatically being in that ring, having that time with him, that takes you up a notch or two.
Let me ask you a question.
And even if the match was shit, you're still in there in that spot.
Do you put Grayson Waller in the Royal Rumble now?
I
Just
don't
to
think
be a
we
pain
put-
in the ass to AJ?
I don't
Nope.
like having a bunch of NXT guys in the Rumble.
Nope.
Honestly.
I keep them on their own brand.
Yep.
You might have one or two top guys from NXT, maybe make a special appearance, but nothing
Mhm.
more than that. Unless they are going to the main roster and getting ready for a WrestleMania match or a feud. But other than that, I wouldn't be throwing any NXT guys in there. I'd have only main roster guys. Keep it
Right.
separate. Keep this
makes it feel like a wasted
developmental.
spot.
This is step one again for NXT to rebuild. You don't need to force it. You don't need to rush it by throwing all your guys in the Rumble and having them intermingling with, a bunch of other guys. That's not going to gain them any traction like a one-on-one match did tonight for Grayson Waller. That's just my opinion.
100% agree.
Now, with that being said, a rating out of 10 is something I love to do for every match, guys, or every event. What would you guys grade from 1 to 10 about this NXT? Travis, I'm going to start off with you.
Ooh, I'm going to go, thinking back through everything we went through, I'm going to say a 5. I think it was better than what I thought it was going to be, which it doesn't sound like it maybe by saying 5, but I think that there's definitely room for improvement. Just everything felt so new as far as talent.
Very new.
I just here in a couple months that might go up just based on who's there. But as of right now, the only thing they had going for him was AJ Styles. And stop putting things on polls.
Yes. No more pole matches, please.
I agree 100%.
What would you grade this, Rousey?
I'm gonna give it a 5 too, because I found myself. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give it a 4 because I found myself dozing off around like the 9 o'clock hour, and I'm like, and I really gotta stay up and review this. Like, so it was like, and it feels NXT to me, and I hate to say it like this, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but I have to. NXT to me has become nothing more than a 2-hour Monday Night Raw on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I think that's going to take some time to change that as well. Again, with the development process, the rebuilding process. We've seen this before when the new generation came in, but at least with the guys behind the scenes were wrestling guys. Now they're not just storytellers or movie producers who are now, kind of building up these guys in an insufficient way or an inefficient way. I think the time and development that they put into it properly will help us gain the interest that it's supposed to with these new talents and faces. And again, that was a big thing for me tonight as well. I wasn't invested as I thought I might be compared to if I knew all these guys coming into tonight's event. I would give it a 5 out of 5.5 just because the main event was great. We had Carmelo Hayes in there, who I was new to. Now I'm looking forward to seeing him next week. We had the return of LA Knight, which is huge for that brand because I love LA Knight and what he's done in his past career. And we had Braun Breaker open the show, which is your main star. He lit the torch that was passed to him by Tommaso. So now we've set a new road. We've got rid of the X instead of the F. And we're moving on to NXT 2.0 tonight. 5.5 on my end, so an average about 5.25 out of 10. Not the greatest, but again, something to work off of and something to look forward to next week when we do this all over again on Wrestling Never Sleeps Network. Travis, it was a pleasure having you on, my friend. Tyrell, it was great hearing from you as well. I can't wait to do this again with you guys. And thank you very much for joining us, all you listeners out there. Any quips, questions, queries, or concerns, you drop them down in the comment section below once this video is uploaded. We will see you tomorrow night for AEW Dynamite. Bada bing, bada boom, baby. I am the straight shoot in a suit, real Adam Anthony James Martin. You guys have a great evening. Cheers, guys.